Hello and welcome back to Anatomy on Demand. We are continuing in our series of talks on the central nervous system, and in this part we're going to talk about the brainstem and a couple other nearby structures. So we just finished talking about the diencephalon, which was the duck beak area with the cherry on the stem, and now we are going to continue inferiorly again, and the brainstem is this area. So if the entire brain was like this stalk of cauliflower or this whole bunch of cauliflower or broccoli, the stalk on which the cerebrum and the diencephalon sits on, that would be the brainstem. And when you look at the brainstem, what you notice is it kind of starts out skinny, and then it looks like this part has a big pregnant belly, and then it kind of has like another curve down here before it gets skinny again. So the pregnant belly, just like on a woman with a pregnant belly, is anterior. That's your clue for figuring out anterior from posterior, okay? Which is what you're going to have to be able to do on all the pictures, because it have to be close up enough so that you can figure out what the structures are. Then you have to figure out anterior from posterior as well. So the brainstem is divided into three major areas. We will go through them, starting superior, and then the middle, and then the inferior. And we're going to spend most of our time on the highest part. So the most superior part is called the midbrain. And for this, find that pregnant belly and draw a horizontal line. So anything that's below the thalamus, hypothalamus, pineal gland to the line that's above the pregnant belly part of the midbrain, all of that is the midbrain. And if you notice, there actually is this groove that runs through it where we see these two little bumps that are posterior to it. So both that anterior portion and the posterior portion, they're both part of the midbrain. The anterior part are called cerebral peduncles, okay? And so if you look at this bottom picture that I'm highlighting now, that looks kind of like ears upside down. The picture's actually upside down. The yellowish area is the anterior area. And this, basically what happens in this area, there's axons that are going in a superior, inferior direction, like from the spinal cord up to the cerebrum itself. And if you notice, we see that little tiny opening in the middle of the midbrain, and it's that little tiny round structure that is the groove that you see on the mid-sagittal view. So let's go back to the mid-sagittal view over here and go posteriorly to the groove where you see the two little mountains, or like the little pair of boobs on their sides. Okay? So realize that we are looking at one side of the brain and we see two bumps. So if you see two bumps on one side, then you know there have to be two bumps on the other side. Does that make sense? Okay. And so all in total, there would be 4 of these rounded projections. Okay. So this is a view just looking at the posterior aspect. So right here's the lower part of the midbrain. There's the thalamus right here. This was the corpus callosum up there. And so posteriorly, what you see are those 1, 2, 3, 4 bumps, 2 on the right and 2 on the left. Okay. And so altogether, the 4 of them are known as the corpora quadrigemina, which just translates into the 4 bodies. But you can't write the 4 bodies. Well, you can write it. You just won't get any credit for it. Corpora quadrigemina. So now that you know there's 4 and there's 2 on the right and 2 on the left, that also means that there's 2 up above and there's 2 down below. And what's the anatomical term we mean for something up above when we're in the axial skeleton? That's right, it's superior. So each of the 2 up above, each one is known as a superior colliculus. And this is the part of a brain that's going to be involved, like for instance, if you're an animal tracking your prey as it's moving across, or for humans, if you're watching a tennis game going back and forth and your eyeballs are tracking the ball. Okay, now I want you to realize that all these extra words I'm telling you about, they're not going to be on your practicum. I just do that because otherwise all I'm saying is, so this bump is the superior colliculus, and this bump is the inferior colliculus, and all 4 together are called the corpora quadrigemina, which gets really boring for all of us really fast. Okay, so you don't have to be taking notes on the other stuff. I'm just trying to make you realize why it's important to learn this stuff. All right. So that's the superior colliculus. There's a right one and a left one. And if there are superior colliculi, what do you think the ones down below are called? That's right, an inferior colliculus. And the inferior colliculus has nothing to do with tracking. The inferior colliculus has to do when, oh my goodness, were you startled by that loud noise? That's startle reflex, or someone slams the door and you turn your head. That's your inferior colliculus at work, okay? So that's why we learn about that. And with that, we're done with the midbrain. Now we're going to the pregnant belly area. So what I want you to realize, it's not only the pregnant belly, just like the mom is not just her pregnancy. There is a real human there, okay? So it's all things together. So go back to where, I'm gonna go back multiple slides to here. When we drew the line, everything from the top of the pregnant belly to the bottom of the pregnant belly. So yes, the pregnant belly itself, plus all of this tissue behind the pregnant belly. All of that forms the pons. Okay. And then below the pons, we have the medulla oblongata. Okay. So I didn't talk a bunch about the pons. The pons and the medulla oblongata together have a lot of common functions, things that are kind of important to staying alive, like breathing, your blood pressure, your heart rate, okay? So it's much more of a lecture and a physiology topic, but you just need to know where it is. Okay, so that's it for the midbrain. For the brainstem, 3 areas. Superiorly, the midbrain, which anteriorly had cerebral peduncles, and posterior had the corpora quadrigemina, which were superior and inferior colliculi. Below that, we had the pons, and below that, we had the medulla oblongata. So now where I